Ghost of Caliban. The Saga of Luther, Legendary Lord, a Dark Angel story. By J.M.R. Durham. Performed by Otis Giant. Charged with an unperceived transgression, however, seemingly brought forth in a formless court, wherein seated is a shadow molded and formed to silhouette as a judge. Retribution at hand, as a verdict is rendered to a hidden crime. The sentence bestowed only is forgotten. Perplexing, wherein no recollection of why or when such a conviction having been bequeathed on the forsaken, with opportunity replaced with an uncertainty, as the slightest hint of incomprehension is forfeited, failed, and are entirely unknown. Where conducted, deeds having transpired so heinously, actions tremendous impetuous, to enact this punishment, is judgment genuinely been served. Testimony to dementia, poetic justice of the oblivious condemned. Chapter 2. Whispers from the Shadow. Luther's numerous efforts to establish any rapport with the unseen seemingly to be phantoms, as Luther tests his captors, baiting whomever into giving up a hint of their presence. He was justifying to himself as having worth in keeping alive as well as themselves hidden, somehow fulfilling a purpose. Then again, Luther may be mistaken. Dissolution of self-grandeur. Perhaps he's been abandoned and left for dead, to rot when oblivion has been his captor and the blink of nothingness his moderator. Prompt and assertive is his tone when voicing significant questions. Patiently, Luther waits for a reply, as solution is the only response he demands. Why am I here? What is it that I've done? Why can't I remember anything? Do you hear me? Anyone? Anybody at all? Finally, uttered softly, Luther retorts, Why am I here? Melancholy afflicts Luther. His spirit grows weary, his willfulness. Any that is left is all but drained. Eternally he asks himself, Shall I ever glimpse the slightest of light? Perpetual gloom joined with such disdain is imprisonment, leeching at my soul. This cell, this darkened hell, a twisted gift handed down. Truly, am I to believe this is all I know? It and I appear to be the same. Is this who I am? Emptiness clothed in darkness? Imprisoned, not only physically, in his cell, Luther locked away from himself, futile in his efforts. Eventually, Luther determines to no longer continue in wasting time and energy with any further exclamation, questions, furthermore, in rationalizing this predicament when all of nothing is known. Throughout the Great Crusade, Luther underwent a variant of surgical enhancements, moreover, receiving regimens of genetic rejuvenation treatments. Luther's mortal physiology and lifespan all being propelled to tremendous length, autonomous as modifications having altered his anatomy and its capabilities. One tribute amongst several is his ability to process stored body fat, sustaining minimal functions. After all of Luther's fat cells have all been depleted, his self-preservation integration into his biological makeup will substantially break down Luther's muscular tissue. Lying flat on the slab, Luther examines his body, searching for any clues that might trigger a memory, a scar, an old wound. Moving his aged fingers across every inch of his skin, starting from the top of his shaved scalp, he ends his self-examination once, reaching his dirt-caked feet. Several circular metallic index-sized ports pox the surface of his body. Luther finds the top of 2 tubes recessed under the skin of his right side torso, and similar tubes located left side midsection. Possible clues? Hints to his past? Eluded. Still, no memories are triggered, not recalling their purpose. His body feels foreign to him. My physiology is baffling to me. My body, organs, and sustaining functions seem to operate on their own, with little to no waste. I seem not to excrete sweat, or neither have I the need to release any biotoxins through any method and sort. Unbeknownst to Luther is that he is continuously monitored. The overseer dubs the warden. Such titles and rank are covert to the majority of the Dark Angels chapter. Luther is currently being surveyed. The Forge Master Tech Marine to the keep, unknowing they've not been the only ones whom been overseeing Luther's detention. A being rarely viewed, let alone the Imperium having any knowledge of its existence. A spectre to those stationed on the rock, shroud in secrecy, hidden amongst the shadows. Its intentions are not fully known. Malice? Truth? Subversion? The lion, a child in the wildwood of Caliban, would come to call them the Watchers in the dark. Luther sits on a cold slab, straining his mind to unlock any further knowledge, when a slight draught drifts across his bearded face. Sensing something different has become of his cell, something within the darkness accompanies him. Being to that of 2 individuals in a single casket sharing stagnant air, Luther's heart rate accelerates, blood pressure rising as red blood cells race through his veins. A warm feeling washes throughout his body, the beat of his quickened heartbeat echoing through his ears. Luther calls out, "Who's there? I can sense your presence. I know every inch of this hell. Speak!" No one replies. Luther, a man already on the edge of one's sanity, begins to believe it or not. Is he sane? It must be this place. I'm losing my mind. Abruptly, unforeseen, hidden amongst the darkness, came a reply. Its utterance resemblance to pressured air ruptured from a valve. Luther concludes. Remember. Shocked by the resound, Luther quakes with dread, sitting up with purpose. Luther's placing his hands on either side of his body, clenching the edge of the stone. His weak legs are dangling off the front of the makeshift bed. What? Who are you? Why am I here? How did you get in here? There's nothing that marked your entrance. It slyly replies, words offer in a dual rhythmic lolling about in the air. Remember. Others will come, but you must remember. In a secured location deep within the rock, few are privy to its exact location, let alone of his existence. Label the keep. Luther's phantom captors, whom routinely monitor him, since materializes to his holding cell, have initiated a silent alarm. Tech Marine to the keep. The subject bioreading has spiked, Master Warden. He seems to be speaking to someone. Warden to the keep replies, You label the prisoner as subject, a farce to what it is. A traitor, arch-heretic. Be mindful of whom you speak of. The fiend piped up before, testing us from time to time, thinking he's privy to an acknowledgment. His persistent mumblings, largely delusional rambles. What is different this time from all the others? Tech Marine to the Keep. Master Warden, area scan verifies his bioreadings are altered. Heart rate, blood pressure, they're higher than any other previous episodes. Vital signs in cerebral cortex are stimulated. Data indicates the trader is coherent, lucid. His brain activity suggests processing. We're recording his responses. Warden to the Keep, hasten with a sense of urgency, commands, "Summon the High Chaplain at once. Notify me when he's within range of secure comms link. I will brief him on the situation. Meanwhile, Tech Marine to the Keep, enact protocol. Deep sleep at once. Incapacitate that traitor." Luther's mind is scrambling, not fully understanding all that just had transpired. Was someone actually here, speaking to me moments ago? How did they get in my cell without me realizing it? Neuron firing overwhelmed psyche, his malnourished brain seemingly not fully comprehend all that had transpired. Speaking hastily, responding to whomever, whatevers spoke moments ago. His inquiry comes out melded together. Marble, his words make no sense. Sprung from the slab, blinded as seemly as eternity of darkness. Arms outstretched, his fingers grasping only empty air, reaching out like a drowning man. Aimlessly shuffling his feet in the direction several feet, then left. In his ill-begotten haste, Luther strikes the hard wall. Mist sparkles his face from the ever-present moisture. Wiping droplets from his face with cracked lips, he speaks. "Remember. I'm trying to remember. Others will come? What? Who's coming?" Alerted, Luther hears several simultaneously popping sounds, seemingly coming at 360 degrees of the perimeter. A hissing sound erupts as an aerosol agent is released, clogging the air. Ragged in breath as he inhales, wheezing with every exhaled, the contaminated fog is a sedation compound. Luther's weak efforts to use the taters, clothe cuffing his face. His body is succumbing to the fume effects. Luther is forced to his knees as blood rushes to his head. His weakened sight is filled with colors, stars blinking in and out of his vision. His consciousness begins to fade. Sedation running its course, Luther is laying on his side, profusely coughing, gasping for air. Luther claws at the floor, his brittle fingernails breaking off, as his fatigued hands clasp at collected filth. All familiar darkness grasping a hold, blurry as Luther's eyelids open and shut. His mind and body are shutting down. Unconsciousness just about seizes hold. When a sudden, his cell becomes fully lit by unseen powerful lights. Fully illuminated, the lingering haze of fog slowly begins to vacuum out through hidden filtration ducts. Luther hears muffled strange sounds, audio amplified gerbil. Their mechanism that altered their voice drown out the sound of his weak heartbeat. The last image, with his fleeing gaze, was that of blaze-red eyes lit in a menacing aged skull, staring down, gazing at him, as sedation renders its full effect, as Luther eyelids close. Even while unconscious, the menacing skull terror overwhelms Luther. The wearer emanated with control, as malice set within retribution. The ominous representation of death, personified, lingers in and out of Luther's unconscious. All the while in the background, whomever, whatevers that had spoken to Luther, in the cell, deviously echoes, "Remember."